Brilliance Audio presents Honest to Greatness: How Today's Greatest Leaders Use Brutal Honesty to Achieve Massive Success by Peter Kozodoy. Performed by Coleen, Marlo, and Peter Kozodoy.
Cheaters never win. Or do they? Are you an honest person? Don't worry, you don't have to answer that. I lie like a rug sometimes when the situation calls for it, so you should know that up front if we're going to be friends. But hey, at least I'm honest about it, right? Nobody can tell the truth 100% of the time. I mean, if your terminally ill friend were to ask you, "Hey, do you think I might die today?" What are you going to say? Well, chances are good that today'll be it, bro. You best enjoy those last breaths just in case. It was real good knowing you. Do you mind if I borrow your Xbox? Of course not. We all have our own set of values, our own personal spectrum of right, wrong, honest, and dishonest. The vast majority of us live in the acceptable middle of a normal distribution of honesty, a bell curve of agreeable morality in which my dying friend example exists among other beneficial half-truths. But some cheaters, existing in the tails of that curve, have no qualms about lying right to your face about who they are and what they do. And egregious though it is, those same peeps seem to be the ones rolling around in Scrooge McDuck-style success. WTF? Over Thanksgiving, I was standing in my mother-in-law's kitchen when she asked how I was. I answered that I was in the throes of producing what you are now listening to, which was proving to be an arduous but highly enjoyable process. When she asked what this audiobook is all about, I told her it's about showing how today's most dominant leaders use honesty to achieve massive success. She paused momentarily before going back to assembling the jigsaw puzzle of deliciousness in the oven, then responded simply, "Good for you. It always seems like you have to be dishonest to get anywhere in this world." Well, ain't that just the saddest thing? Her observation was not untrue. The truth of the matter is that unscrupulous people and dishonest companies are surviving and thriving, even in today's increasingly transparent world. I'm sure you can conjure up a few successful individuals and organizations with virtually no scruples. Any politicians, CEOs, entrepreneurs, government entities, or businesses come to mind? Just because honesty can produce industry-leading profits, as we'll see in Part 2, and just because dishonesty is on its way out as the world becomes more transparent, doesn't mean that dishonesty isn't working for the time being. In fact, it's working literally in every corner of life. But, as with all elements of our discussion, I hope you'll pause and ask, is that entirely true? Does dishonesty always work? As with all good questions, the answer is, it depends. Dishonesty often works for a time, just as the wax-hewn wings of Icarus helped him soar close to the sun. But just as Icarus learned that the penalty for flying without the proper ingredients can be quite severe, practicing dishonesty long-term can also lead to disastrous results. Let's look at a few juicy cautionary tales of modern-day Icaruses who disregarded honesty and ended up scorched. As you listen, keep this question in mind. Is the risk of being dishonest worth the reward? Healthcare's billion-dollar bluff. Allow me to introduce you to a once high-flying startup called Theranos, formerly heralded as Silicon Valley's next great unicorn company. Theranos was founded and led by Stanford dropout and company CEO Elizabeth Holmes, who quickly became the youngest female self-made billionaire, at least according to her sky-high valuation. Started in 2003, Theranos grew over a short 11 years to be valued at $10 billion. Yes, that's 10 billion with a B. This success rocketed Holmes to the covers of the biggest business magazines in the world. But by mid-2016, Theranos stumbled into the crosshairs of both the United States Justice Department and Securities and Exchange Commission. Regulators initially imposed sanctions, including banning Holmes from owning or operating a medical laboratory for at least 2 years. Shortly thereafter, she was indicted by a grand jury for fraud. If you know the story, you know the heart of the matter. Elizabeth Holmes lied. She had promised that Theranos' groundbreaking machines could detect health problems at an unprecedented low cost by testing only a mere drop of blood, a method that would drastically shorten the time and cut the cost of diagnosis using traditional tools. That would be quite helpful to our world, if only it worked.